I'm a little late, but I'm here now. Let's visit.
Go ahead, Trey. Yeah, Coach, I was curious about how some of the young wide receivers have come along, and you pretty much have used four guys. Is there any room for one of those guys maybe to break in a little bit?
Yeah, there really is, Trey. I've said it before, how I like this group, and of course you've prefaced the four guys that's been playing a little bit, but you got Wilson, Stevens, McAdoo. I really like McAdoo. Bake's coming on, and he's going to play more special teams wise. Sategna, I like him a lot. We had big plans for him. He rolled his ankle yesterday. I don't know exactly where he's going to be on that, but those guys are good players. And yes, we're trying to. We just haven't had the situation really right yet that, even Keytron Jackson, who I think is a really good player, we haven't got him the reps really yet that I would like to, but that's problems. Those are good problems at times. But to answer your question, I'm really high on McAdoo and Sategna and Bake. They're all three really good players. And of course, we have the other guys that aren't playing with Stevens and Wilson, who I like as well. And I would have no problem putting them in the game. It's just the situation hadn't quite been there yet to where we're able to do that.
Dubinion, we've seen him get some action this year too. And I remember watching him a little bit in camp. He was kind of struggling in pass pro. That's obviously an important thing for running back and something freshmen struggle with a lot. How far has he come along in that? And as he improves, is that going to increase his playing time?
Well, I think quite a bit, I think he has improved. Jimmy does a good job of working with those guys, and he's always had to want to. He just turned his body all the time, trying to invite them one way. And once you give it up shoulder, they're going to take it, and you get a little bit of problem there. But he's learned from that. He is tough. The guy who probably, if you look at Rocket Sanders, he's improved, I think, from last year. I think he's a better back. And then you go to AJ Green, and AJ is now, in my opinion, the guy that we recruited. In other words, he's an SEC back. He's running hard. He's moving piles forward. He hadn't broke one of those like I think he will eventually, but 9 carries. I thought that was a good week for him last week in a SEC ball game. Then you have R-Dub, who will his carries increase? Yes, but Damo's coming back. So, you've got 4 guys back there you're trying to give balls to. Obviously, Rocket is the guy in that room. If Damo wasn't coming back, I probably would tell you absolutely that R-Dub's reps would increase. But with Damo coming back, I don't know exactly how that's going to look yet. We'll have our coaches meeting on Saturday, see what Jimmy thinks about it. But I don't really know at this point, to be honest with you, Trey.
So we are going to see Dominic Johnson this week. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I hope so. He's looked good. He's got the brace off. Again, Trey, in all honesty, I think it'll be up to him if he feels like he's ready to go. He's been cleared actually for the last 2 weeks. We'll see if yesterday was any indication, I would say he'll play Saturday, but it's still up to him how he feels. And I think he's feeling pretty good.
Thanks, Coach. Tom.
Hey, Sam, speaking of AJ Green, Missouri State has 1 touchback on maybe 12 kickoffs, something like that. But do you go into some games thinking, all right, we're not going to get many chances, but in this one, are you like, okay, this time to block it up for real with kickoffs?
Well, that's the plan. Certainly we knew exactly what you're talking about. We work every week, but this week, you're thinking, hey, there's more of a chance that we might be able to return. And depending on what they do, whether they sky it or whether they kick it to us. I think we'll have some I think we're a good kickoff return team as long as we, stay away from the penalties. And that's what's hurt us in live special teams reps. So we've made a big deal out of it, and hopefully it'll help us on Saturday. But yeah, I think this would be a good week, and this depends on what coach decides to do with their kickoff team, with Missouri State's kickoff team, whether they elect to kick it, try to kick it deep, or whatever. But this is a week that we're revving up our kickoff return game.
Yeah, I asked you on the SEC call about cross training in your secondary, and I'm wondering, are McLaughlin and Clark and maybe Keywan like the only guys who are just corners and everybody else plays multiple spots, or do they even, some of those guys even multiple spots?
We've talked about it, because you're basically trying to buy players. You don't have any more bodies, but you're trying to buy another safety, another nickel, whatever it may be, using the same guys, cross-train the same guys. Of that group you talked about, obviously Malik, you didn't say his name, but obviously you already knew he was doing it. Of that group, the only one we really thought about that we could cross-train was probably Hudson. That we might could move him to a boundary safety or something of that nature. But that's really of those three. You're right. Of those three, that would be the only one that we think we cross-train. I don't think Nudie, there would be no really reason to move him, Keywan Parker, with his size and stature and the fact that he hadn't played a lot of ball. We probably wouldn't want to do that to him.
And on Knox and Slusher and maybe Brainy, are all those guys just going to leave them questionable, or some of them for sure going to go, some of them for sure not going to go?
I feel real strong about Brainy and Knox. Slusher's still up in the air. So we'll see if he'll be available. And hadn't done any practicing. So there is a chance that he would be available, but we'll have to see. It's a day by day deal. We'd have to kind of see today how that works.
Scotty.
Hey, Sam, you mentioned Nudie a minute ago, got 2 picks in his first 2 games. I mean, just what do you think is key that success that he's had? Like, what is it about him that I guess is leading to his production?
Well, he's really confident. I think that's the first thing a corner has to be, but he sees, he saw the route. He sees routes well. I mean, he does a lot of film study before, obviously each game, understands who his opponent is, who's he playing against, gets some tips off of that and things of that nature. But, it's one thing to break in front of a ball and another thing to catch it, and he has very good ball skills. So he gives himself an opportunity to pick them. But, he's long, and he's probably the prototype corner. He's a corner. He's probably not going to knock you out in a tackle and all that. He'll get you on the ground, but I like him because he's got really good ball skills and he's really has good awareness, and certainly played before, and that helps him.
And secondly, South Carolina had success a time or two last week in the screen game. I'm curious if that's been something of an emphasis this week, or just kind of defending some quick throws.
No, but Missouri State runs screens as well, so there was one, we had a missed assignment on a screen. We had a bust on a screen, and to be honest with you, we when that happens, if it'll happen again, I'm sure, part of success with screens is poor tackling. We've got to get the guy on the ground, and if he makes 12 yards or whatever, it's, get him on the ground instead of 38, so certainly have emphasized that, but from last week, and the fact that Missouri State will run them as well, or backs out of the backfield.
Coach, I've heard you mention Keywan Parker's name a couple of times this week. Obviously, injuries have contributed to it, but what have you seen from him that's kind of maybe helped him get to where he's on the verge of playing time?
I like him. I've always liked him. He has good speed. He's tough now. He's not the most physical looking guy, but I think he's one of our best cover corners that we have. And so I went up to him Monday, I guess, and said, "Hey, got your opportunity now." And I really believe in him. He can stop and turn on a dime. He's very competitive, a willing tackler. I really like him. I think this is going to be his time to shine when he gets out on there, because I'm very confident in him.
And also, I went back and double checked this afternoon, but Jordan Jones, who's now there at Missouri State, committed to Arkansas, I believe in the summer of 2014, when you were still here. Do you remember anything about, recruiting him? And what is it kind of crazy? You're playing a guy that now 8 years later still playing in college football.
Well, I don't remember. I'm looking to see who you're talking about. Which one is he?
The wide receiver, Jordan Jones.
He's number one.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about him out of when I was here the last time. I don't. So, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful to him, but no, I didn't remember his name, or I don't remember anything about him.
Hey, Sam, he's from Smackover, like Tom and Clyde Scott. Anyway, just a little trivia there for you. Hey, the defensive line rotation seems to be really good. I think you've got 8 guys that have played 40 plus snaps in 2 games. And just how good do you feel about that rotation, and how big a plus is that, especially in this league?
I think our philosophy or what have you is to keep the freshest guys out there. Well, that's a good philosophy if you have 2 deep. It's not very good if you don't. So I think Deke's done a nice job of coaching these guys up. They're playing extremely hard. To be honest with you right now, I don't know a whole lot of difference, if any, from the ones that run out there and the 2s that run out there. Production wise, I would bet you there's not much difference in that as well. So, which was once what might be considered not a strong suit for us. I think they've been playing really well, and I think part of it's been because they're keeping fresh guys on the field. I think the other part of it is the guys we've had got better, bigger, and stronger, and then the portal guys coming in have certainly helped us.
And then, Isaiah said this yesterday, we asked him, I guess I asked him about the new guys, and he said, hey, he doesn't feel threatened by them. If they're playing better and getting more playing time, that's on him to work harder and get better. And Eric and Zach Williams said basically, Eric Gregory said basically the same thing in camp, that, they welcome the competition, they welcome the depth. How good is it to hear that and to know that it's a good room and everybody fits in pretty well?
Well, it shows a lot about those kids. Each kid's got to have that feeling on their own. I think it shows about our program and people understanding if you want to run out there with the first group, you've got to earn that. I think they believe we're going to bring in good character kids. I think it's a lot of I think a lot of that is on the guys we bring in, as long as they'll come in and work and we don't give anybody anything. We don't give them a spot. They have to earn it. Once that happens, I think it's just a much easier transition between the new kid coming in and the team itself. So we're very conscious about a transfer guy coming in. He's got to earn what he gets, and I think it's good for the team that way. And the team accepts it a little bit better, like what you're speaking of. They did.
And when you research a transfer, obviously you want to see production on the field, on the film, but how important is it to, like you say, you check with, different people in their lives, find out what kind of character kids they are and how they take coaching, things like that, not just what they're doing in the games, but the other stuff.
I think it's huge. Football has a lot to do with speed and strength and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, it has a lot more to do with heart and what am I willing to do for the team and non-me guy and all those type things. there's so much more that goes into a football player, character, than just a 40 dash time. And you see guys that are fast and big and strong that fell in college football. And to be honest with you, for the most part, it's the love of the game's not there, or the willing commitment to the game is not there. So we want somebody that fits our program, because we know it's very difficult to play on our football team. It is. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard work and a lot of discipline involved in it. And so we have to, talk to their high school coaches and talk to whomever, whatever program they left, and the reasons why, and find all those things out before we're able to offer a scholarship and try to recruit them.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Coach? Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I thought you was waving goodbye. Oh, that was Tom. Bob was waving goodbye.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony Brown, he had a really good camp. Is he getting closer to being in the mix? And then Jalen Lewis too?
Well, I think J. Lou, I think you'll see a little bit more maybe of him this week. I think he's a little closer right now than Ant is, even though they're both getting better each week. But I think J. Lou's going to work some special teams, trying to work into the secondary as well. Both of them have been really, really good on scout team. But obviously with a little bit of injuries, we're trying to see if we can amp them up a little bit. And both of them had done well. J. Lou right now is probably the one that we're counting on a little bit faster, but both of them are going to be good players for us.
All right.
If I ask one more, Sam, on the defensive line subs, is that totally Deke? Is that Deke and Barry? Is that you, Deke and Barry? How does that work?
That is, we try to stay, unless injuries happen, Bob, we try to stay what we said in our pregame coaching staff meeting. And so whatever's said in there is how we rotate them. Obviously, unless injuries have come up, and we'll say, hey, on third down, games on the line, or third down here, we want these guys in the game. So I pretty much know exactly what their plans are, and either I'm okay with it or I'll veto it and say, no, we need to do this or that. But most of the time, that's Deke that decides what his kids are, where they're at, just like it would be Jimmy with the running backs. But we have a meeting before. I'm well aware of how we're going to play them, but when and all those things, the feel of it is up to the position coach, unless I just say on the headset, hey, I want so-and-so in the game,
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll wrap us up. Thanks, Coach.
All right, go Hogs.